Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler.
Welcome to another episode in the Roland Wright month series.
Yeah, we're gonna do First Impressions Part 2.
If you haven't seen our Part 1, check it down below. We cover over 24 different Roland Wrights. And today we're looking at
the rest of them.
27 Roland Wrights. Woo!
Wow, so many.
We're also doing a giveaway this month, so check out the description below to learn more about that. But shall we dive right on in?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Well, this week we took a look at Super Mega Lucky Box.
Check
it out.
I can't say it 5 times fast.
Try.
Super Mega Lucky Box, Super Mega Lucky Box, Super Mega Lucky Box, Super Mega Lucky Box, Super Mega Lucky Box.
I don't think you did it.
I don't think I did it.
So I really enjoyed this game.
Uh-huh.
We actually did a check it out video for it, so you can check it out. But let's talk about our first impression.
Tic-tac-toe. That's my first impression. It reminds me a lot of tic-tac-toe. You're just crossing off numbers as they're flipped, and the only other thing I'll say about it is that I didn't realize there's 18 cards and that only 9 of them were put in the stack.
Tyler does not listen to my rules explanations pretty well.
Sometimes Ilya forgets some stuff.
That is true. I really enjoyed the first play of this game, and I really like that there is some tokens to remind some of the actions, because in some other Roland Wrights you have like 2 circle pieces, but here you have those lightning bolts and those moons, which just add, like, I love a tactile element to a game, which Roland Wrights don't often have, so this one I'll credit for that.
Yeah.
But it was so simple, and I love the combinations that come out of it.
Yeah.
But if you want to learn more, check out our Check It Out video.
Yeah, check it out.
And that is Super Mega Lucky Box.
Cat Cafe?
Cat Cafe.
I want a coffee.
Yeah.
This one's a lot of fun. It's very cute.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that there was a game like this. So I'm very happy we found it, because Swanson. But basically you're building a bunch of different cat towers.
Yep.
And you're just jazzing them up with things that show up.
Yeah, like based on where you place the items, each of the items have different scoring rules. And it makes it really fun, because not only are you thematically just enjoying coffee and decorating a cat tower, but you're drawing more cats in, you're competing to have the best cat tower. You're also racing to fill cat towers, which is exciting. But the theme of this game really shines. It made me really happy.
Yes, yeah, they do a very good job in this game. And yeah, it's just super cute. I really like that there's a bunch of different scoring opportunities in such a small little box. And yeah.
The one thing I will say about this game is I did not love the dice that came with it.
Oh.
They just didn't, I don't know, they were very...
They were just dice.
They were just dice.
They served a purpose.
They did serve a purpose. So we actually upgraded it to these nice purple and violet dice, which made the game even better. So
I mean, we're fortunate enough that we have a giant bag of dice just sitting around.
Yes.
So
casual board gamer things.
Yeah. Well, that's Cat Cafe.
Should we talk about? I just like clearing this middle space so people can see me. Cartographers.
I love this game as well. Oh my goodness.
I think. I want to say this is one of the most popular roller flipping rights in the industry, and it's for a good reason. It's a wonderful game. Essentially, what you're doing is you're helping the queen discover more of the kingdom and take over some of that kingdom.
Yeah, and you've got to be careful because you don't want the goblins to be on your board. You'll lose points if they're not captured, kind of thing. But there's a bunch of different scoring opportunities, and the really cool thing that I like about this, like especially from first impressions, is the scoring. So there's A through D, and you'll score like A, B, B,
each
C,
of the seasons.
C, D. Yeah, so it's really neat because it circles back, and then you score D, A.
Yeah, you can plan for scoring opportunities down the road. Although you don't get to score them now, you can plan in the future because you know what all of them are. Yeah, and that's really exciting. And I also like the limited player interaction in this game, because every now and then goblins come. That's when you have to pass the sheet and they draw the goblins in the most inopportune area.
Yeah.
So. Overall, like, I'm actually Cartographers Heroes is coming out honestly anytime now. So I'm very excited for the continuation in this game, because it sparks a lot of joy for me.
Yeah.
And it also is such a creative game. Like, I think the first time we got to play it, it was so cool to draw little trees and draw little waves.
Yeah, you do love drawing all this stuff in the box.
I do. It's really fun.
And there's a chance. Yeah. Well, that's Cartographers.
Cartographers.
Which one next? Let's do these ones.
These ones? Give me one.
Oh, backwards. Railroad Ink Challenge.
I love the challenge.
Shining yellow.
And I have lush green.
Wow.
So the originals, the red and the blue, are very straightforward. These add an extra layer to the game. There's buildings that come on the board, and if you go over certain spaces, there's different rules that really elevate the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also goal cards that you have to achieve, and it's a race to achieve those. So potentially connecting 3 or more exits, or connecting kind of across the border. There's different kind of ways to get them. And I guess my first impression, let's go through each of them. Or do you have anything else to say from the overall perspective?
No, I don't think so. I think that, they're just like, these games are just a lot of fun, and they're different enough that I will keep all of them and love all of them.
Mm-hmm. So Lush Green has forests and trails.
Yes.
And I love forests because you get to draw these cute little trees. The first time we played it, I think to be out of all the 8 expansions, because each comes with 2.
Yeah.
I think the trees is my favorite. The forest is my favorite. Because I think it's quite simple. It's quite easy to dive into. And I just really liked it.
I think my favorite one is actually in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Haha! They've the desert and the canyon, and the desert expansion is really cool because you plant cacti in spaces, but if you don't water them when the sun,
an oasis nearby,
when the sun faces up, then they all just disappear, and I think that's very, very unique and kind of cool.
Mine always disappear because I never put the oasis by them because I'm a risk taker.
Yes. It's a dice rolling game. You're gonna take risks.
But yeah, I'm always, I think with, like we said in the last video, with Railroad Ink and Railroad Ink Challenge, I'm still beating myself for not trying these sooner because honestly, I don't know what it was that didn't appeal to me, but I really, really enjoy all of these games, and they're so easy to pull out. They're so fun to play. We've also been playing a lot of the app, which is really fun.
I play too much of the app.
That's true.
It's fun.
But that's Railroad Ink. Boomerang! Let's go traveling!
This one's Boomerang Europe.
Yes.
There is an original Boomerang. Or is it all just
I think it's different areas.
Okay.
I actually don't know which one came first. I know there's Australia.
Okay.
I don't know the other ones.
This one's really cool because it's not like your typical flip and right, because you're drafting cards.
Yeah.
So it's very neat because you get to like pass the cards to the next player.
It's a pass and right.
Yeah, pass flip and right. Yeah, well no, it's like a pass flip and right, right? Because everybody like will have their cards face down, and then you'll flip over your cards, and then basically you get to do stuff after that. But there's a bunch of different objectives on the map that you have to try and complete, a bunch of different ways to score points, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. The neat part about this one is there's like a drink score or something.
Yeah, a beverage and transportation.
Yeah, but if you go too high in the beverage score, you score half of the max or something along those lines. Yeah, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think this is one of those games where there's, for the small score pad that it has of where you can track everything, there's so much going on. Because not only are you trying to visit all the different places in Europe and draft the right cards so you can cross off more and get those clumps before everybody else, you're also paying attention to the transportation you're taking because you're pairing those. You're also paying attention to the drinks. There's so many little things that you have to keep in mind, like trying to visit one of each of the big areas so you can be the first to do that. There's a lot going on, and that's what really excites me in this game because you can really hone in on one of the aspects and see if you can just gather a lot of points from that time. Yeah. So my first impression was very like mind. What do I do?
Boomerang is not an actual boomerang.
Why can't you just edit that for it to fly out and boomerang back? Okay. Let's talk about Roland Wright.
This one is very witty. So you're a game designer in this game trying to create this game.
It's really cool.
So basically there's a bunch of different like inspiration cards, goal cards that you're like going to be drafting as the game progresses, and you'll make the game more complete by basically completing these goals, drawing these inspiration cards, filling these little dots in with the colors, and it's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, this one actually had one of the best first impressions for me. And I'll dare and say that this is probably one of the most underrated Roland Wrights that we've played. Because it was one of the last ones I got on my list, and I had a few suggestions I think on Twitter that I brought up. Oh, like I've played Roland, like I've heard of this. I don't really know what it is, but I'm so happy if they mention this because it's such a unique game.
Yes.
And I think what makes it really unique is so you have all these different colors, and you're writing bits on your grid. But as you complete goals, you just score them, and you can erase certain colors for certain actions. So your grid always is changing because you're erasing, drawing new ones on, but based on what you got in the past, you get to score and reach objectives. And I think I have not seen that in another Roland Wright where you're racing to take actions.
Yeah, and it's not like you're just erasing any color. You're erasing a specific color to do a specific action.
Absolutely.
So it's very cool. And then you can also just like with other like cards in here, you get to erase certain colors or any color to do that bonus action, and it's very cool.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but it flows really well together. And I would definitely recommend, if you haven't heard of this game, definitely give it a shot. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That is Roland
Right.
Medici.
Medici.
I hope that's the right way to say it.
I think it is.
Let's go with it.
This Monopoly game.
I really enjoy this one. So essentially you're a trader and you're trying to ship ships of goods and ship the most goods of value while obtaining a monopoly.
Yes, yeah, it's very neat because there's like a give and pull or a give and take with trying to get the most value out of the goods you're selling, but also maintain a monopoly.
Yeah, so dice contribute to a score of, there's 3 rounds. Each round you're going to send off ships. Those ships will have values of the goods that you're putting in. But sometimes the higher the score of the goods, the less it contributes to your monopolies. And the more monopolies you have, the more. So there's 2 ways to really score points, and it is that really tug and pull.
Yeah.
It's quite simple, but it's very elegant. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's a dice drafter. So it's still a Roland, right? But you also end up drafting the dice, which I think is always fun.
I think my first impression for this is we did play this at 2-player. We have not yet played it with more than 2, but I have a prediction that I think it'll actually be better with more players.
100%.
Because the scoring, like essentially for the ships, is like you get 20 or 0.
Yeah.
Where like in the other, if it's more players, it's a little bit more spread out. So I think there'll be more of a spread within the score, and I think there'll be an opportunity to catch up. Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. It's a fun game though.
Very excited to play it.
Yeah.
With higher player count. Should we talk about super skill? I already no, I did not.
Super skill 4K.
So this was from WizKids, and wow.
It sounds exactly like you would expect. It's like playing pinball, but a Roland Wright.
One of the best thematic integrations I think I've seen, but there's 4 maps that you can play. And yeah, you're essentially playing pinball. You'll have a ball and it'll fall, and it'll hit different areas based on the dice that you roll. And the potential for combinations is...
Yes, yeah. My first impressions are really good with this game. The one thing I will say is if you don't get the rolls you want, it sucks.
Yeah, I think in our first game, there's a time where I think Tyler basically ended his game, and my ball just kept going.
I was just sitting there. I was like, okay, are you done yet?
But it's really cool because the pinball is also, it's like half a ball, so it like
you move
easily slides on your board. And each of the boards as well has their own unique rules. So it's legitimately
like 4 games.
Yeah, it's legitimately like a pinball machine because you have those different areas that you're trying to. If you had one of each, it changes the color. Now it gains you more points. You're trying to go up the ramp. There's ways to recover and get them back up with the flippers.
Well, and the crazy thing is like we talk about this game as if like there are spaces that you need to fill up, and then you question. You're like, oh well, how come all the spaces don't just get filled up and then the game ends?
They reset.
But, yeah, they reset. They've got like, especially in the Carnival,
yes.
I remember specifically, is they've got different areas. I think in all of them they do, but you've got different areas, and if you fill every single space up, you get to clear the whole area, and then you have more spaces you can hit.
This game makes me very happy, and I cannot wait for the expansion that was just announced as well. Or I guess non-expansion, so 4 new pinballs machines.
That's why it's called Forcade. Pinball.
Yay.
This one.
Biblios.
Basically, you're just trying to stay as not a monk.
A scribe.
A scribe. Okay,
Scribe.
sorry. You're a scribe that's trying to impress the
Abbots.
Yes.
Yes.
I am not good with words. But this one's really cool because like you basically are just like trying to go through these boards by gaining coins. It's divided into like 2 different sections. And so the first round is all about gaining stuff, and the second round is all about
influence. You gain influence and you spend it.
It's about spending it. So it's very neat to watch it like build up, and then of course you have all these things that you get.
Yeah, there's various. My first impression of this game was actually really good. First of all, the dice in this game are beautiful. There's 3 different kinds, and they're just really fun to play with. But you're working your way up different tracks, but then you're also gaining influence. But you're also working your way up this, not chain, up this like
chapel. You're working through this chapel. Like
to get to the very top place, because it's a race to get to that place to get points. But there's a lot of neat combinations and a lot of really fun aspects in this game that you can really leave me coming back to it.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite out of everything is it's really neat how the game completely changes halfway through, because initially you gain that influence, it's basically like a drafting piece. But then the second part of that game is a bidding, where
the first one, everybody has their own dice and then you roll. So it's not really a drafting piece.
Yeah, you're right.
So you like roll all your dice and then everybody puts their hand in and goes 1, 2, 3, and then they either keep, re-roll all of it or re-roll one of them. And I think that's really cool too, because you do that.
It's a cool visual way of like re-rolling, because you usually have those re-rolling things. Yeah, you're right. It's not drafting. My apologies.
Yeah.
But
the second part is drafting.
The second, it's drafting, but it's bidding. It's bidding to draft first, which is super cool because you've gained all that influence, and then you go and you write down secretly when you're on a bid, and then you reveal it. Yeah. And I think that's really neat because you also have points left over for the influence you have left over. But I know like our first game when we played, if only I bid more in that last round, I would have won. But I didn't.
I made it to the top of the chapel.
You did. But that's Biblios, quill and parchment. Let's talk about on tour. Oh my goodness, heavy.
The dice in this game are huge. That is the only first impression you get from me.
Giant dice. That's all you're gonna say about it? Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
And on tour, you are a band trying to hit up as much of either North America or Europe as possible.
Well, just the USA, actually.
No, Europe.
No. Like, it's not North America. It's just
the USA. You're right. You're right.
I wish Canada was involved. But.
Yeah, no Canada here, just the States. Or Europe, which is really nice. So you get to play one of the... But I really enjoy this game because the dice are...
What a neat game.
There are 1 to 10 dice, so D10s.
Yeah.
And you roll them and you write both the numbers. So the higher number and the lower. So if it's an 8 and a 1, you write 81 and 18.
Yeah. And the goal of the game is essentially to create the longest consecutive chain of numbers from basically 1 to 0 or 1 to 100.
Yeah. And you also have cards as well. So each turn there'll be cards that you can, and it'll indicate which spaces you can draw in. Yeah. And they have the specific state or country.
Yeah.
And if you draw in that state, you get to circle it and get more points.
Well, city, right? I think it's actually specific cities.
Is it cities? And
yeah. I don't like. It'll give you a certain section.
Yes.
And then you can either draw in that, or you can draw in a specific city that is also in that section.
Yes. I forget if it's city, state,
if you get the section, or if you draw exactly where the card says, you'll get extra points.
Yes. But it's really cool because you have to try to make that longest chain, and you're really hoping for those perfect rolls. But it's very exciting. Also, the markers are top-notch quality. The production of this game is also
it's
wonderful.
Pretty great. It's it's actually very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard.
But it's also 1 to 8 players.
Yeah.
Which is super neat. So if you're looking for a game that has many, many, many players in them, this is one that could be for you.
And it doesn't take too long to play.
No, it does not. And that is
On Tour.
What do we have next?
Castles of Burgundy, the Roland Wright game.
So there's lots of games in here that are a Roland Wright of a re-implemented games. And most of them we have not played the original game.
That is very true.
But for Castle Burgundy, we have. So
Yeah.
just wanted to share that fact.
But this one's really cool because it feels like Castle of Burgundy because there's all like the same rewards type system that goes on here. So basically all you're doing is playing Castles of Burgundy, but drawing in the tiles based on what you roll.
Yeah.
And it's very cool because you pick the dice that you want to use, and certain dice will give you certain tiles. And
yeah, the numbers correspond to certain tiles, and then so sometimes the number and the color don't match. So you're gonna have to potentially use some of the bonuses or abilities. Yeah. But I feel like it's for me it was like a condensed version. It's quite a different game, but it's a similar where you're trying to fill in those little hexagons.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're trying to fill the hexagons and trying to create clumps of them to get points, essentially. But overall, I was really impressed with this game.
I also like the time counter. It's kind of neat because like you expect the game to last like 10 rounds, but then if you roll this blue double-sided thing or double thing, you take 2 turns.
Yeah, I think that's the most unique thing in this game that I haven't seen in other games, but it's a thing I really enjoy. Because there's 3 rounds, and the rounds can last anywhere from 5 to 10 turns based on what you roll. It's very unlikely it'll be 5.
5 turns, that would be crazy.
But it's possible. So it's really, I like that aspect of it because it makes it exciting because you never quite know when the game's gonna end.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let's talk about Alhambra.
Alhambra.
Roland Wright.
This one's cool.
I like this one a
lot. We played against Binu in this one.
Yeah, if there's 2 players, you have to play with an artificial player. So we added Beasley to it.
Yeah.
She was very frustrating to play against because she kept taking the buildings that we were working towards.
Actually, just the ones that he was working towards, which was convenient for me.
She was not Team Ilya. But
I like this game. Cool. It's very cool because like it's like the 6x6 grid, and you get to choose based on those dice. So there's a yellow and blue side, and you get 4 dice. You keep the ones that you don't use.
No, you pass the ones that you don't use, and then you re-roll the ones that you use.
Yeah, and then put them back onto your board.
And that's really interesting because you have, in the beginning of your turn, you'll have 4 dice. So there's a 6x6. So you can choose basically 4 of the spots.
4 choices, yeah.
But sometimes some of those are crossed out. And you can either cross out another one or collect coins for them.
Which can get you extra points.
Exactly. So, but what's really neat is the dice that you don't choose get to go to the next player. So you can kind of see what they have, and it's a really interesting interaction because there's not a ton of play interaction with the exception of passing the dice and racing for certain buildings. Yeah, but
I feel like it's hard to keep track of, but that's why they have that neat or nifty little score pad in the middle, basically, so everybody can see what's going on.
Yeah, I feel it'd be very frustrating if that did not exist because you'd be like, how many blue buildings have you built? How many of these type have you built? And it's hard to like even count them.
It's like a chaotic bingo.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, my first impression was really good in this one.
I really liked this one. Yeah,
it was really fun.
Oh, Alhambra.
Let's talk about Rajas of the Ganges.
Oh my goodness, I thoroughly enjoy this one. It basically, the win condition is much different than a lot of other ones where you're not trying to get the most points. Yep. You're trying to connect fate and money. And
I think influence.
Influence?
Right? Yeah, influence and money.
Yeah. So it's basically like there are ways
fame
and action. Oh no, it is fame.
Fame and money.
Yeah. The way you're trying to collect things is you're basically like going through all of these different actions based on the dice that are rolled, and you can use a variety of different ones. I think there's green, blue, purple, and orange.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of them are color specific to different actions
and tracks.
And different tracks. So you get to pick through all of those, and it's very fun to try and make combinations out of them, and also try and make sure that you connect fame and money like the fastest.
Yeah.
Because with the first game that we played, Ilya had so much more fame than I did, but I had gone even in the paths to get to the end or to connect mine first, and yeah, I ended up winning, which was cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think It's cool because there are 4 different areas you can focus on. So there's the map that you're trying to connect and get buildings, and sometimes also sell goods. There's also the goods track where you're trying to accumulate all these goods that you're going to sell by going to the map. The orange is like the individuals within the game, and each of them give you a bonus action that you can take, and all of them kind of help influence what you're going to do.
Yep.
And then there's a bottom track, which is essentially you just move onto it to get bonuses and then get various points, get fame, get coins, and actions.
That one's cool because you can like move forward on it,
but you can't move
but
back.
you can't move back. Well,
Except
there's a way to move back
if you use some of the special actions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think there's just a lot going on, but it's a very smooth flowing game. There's also an elephant in it that holds the other cube, or the other dice of the color that you choose.
Yeah, the first player, when they pick the dice, they pick one and then take the other colored die and put it onto the elephant, so nobody else gets to pick those colors.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy this one. I think this is probably one of my favorites. And I'd play it anytime, based on my first impression. Yeah.
I guess we will find out in our top 10 list.
Where will it be? Will it even be there at all?
Who knows? But it is a very good game.
It is. Let's talk about Lanterns Dice.
Dice.
So this is embarrassing because we've actually had lanterns
for a very long time.
Our friend got it for Christmas. I think. Yeah, and we just have not had the time to play it, and now I really want to play it because
we say that as we've just played all of these Roland Wrights, but
the priority to play it. Yeah, I feel like we've always been waiting to play with our friend, and we haven't had a ton of time to play that together,
especially with COVID.
So yeah, and it's been tough. But I love this one. Lanterns Dice. So you're essentially celebrating the Harvest Festival by putting on fireworks.
Yeah, you want to impress the Emperor.
Yes. Yeah. So it's really neat because you roll your dice, and there's a little dice tray that has exactly the spots for them, so they end up coming together. And then you'll orient it, so you choose the dice that you want, and the dice that are facing the other players, they get that one.
Yeah.
And then you'll also get another dice color from your turn, and then you'll circle anything you want on the whole board. So there's no like consecutive or adjacent rules that a lot of the games have. But you're essentially trying to cross off these pads and create opportunities to put shapes on them, which are the fireworks, which grant you a lot of points.
Yeah, and then the other scoring condition is like the second largest contiguous group.
So you want to have separate groups, which I did not.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because you have the freedom to place wherever you want. You've got to like be very careful of how you place them, because if you do what happened with Ilya, I think is he placed them all separate and then ended up connecting them, and it just didn't work out. I really like the gifts in this. So there's a side ability where you can use gifts to re-roll the dice or take these actions, and those actions are a lot of fun because they get you more ways to like cross off different boxes, and it's enjoyable.
Yeah, and there's a variety of gifts too, so you can really change the variability up in the game. But yeah, like it made me really happy.
Random yawn.
Now I'm going to.
It happened.
We're not yawning because we're bored. We're yawning because we're tired.
Yes.
Anyway,
very fun game.
Yeah, I really like also you have to surround the boats. That's a really tricky part.
That one's hard to do.
And it has polyominoes in it, which you'll put on your. So it adds a lot of really fun flavor to it. Lanterns. Which one do you want to do?
7 Bridges.
So this one is super, super neat.
The scores in this game are so high.
They are. Well, if you play as well as me.
I lost by, I think, 2 points the first time we played this.
If you play as well. So what sets this game apart from any other Roland Wright is it's actually based on a real cartography of a city. So it's like layered over, and it's very
I mean, like Alhambra does the same thing.
No, but this is a real like city. Like this is the exact outline of the city, same buildings.
Okay.
Like it'd be like if we were here in Edmonton, it'd be like the blueprint of our community. So it's very like real world.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's based on the 7 bridges in, I'm gonna get this name wrong, Königsberg.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try.
But like Tyler said, there's so much possibility for scoring, and that's what makes this game really exciting.
Yeah, it's very cool because like you basically just like pick where you want to start. I think everybody has to start.
Yeah, everybody starts in the same spot. Yeah.
And they give you these color pencils, so you can use later on to help you score things.
Or just make your paths very colorful too.
Yeah.
But it's really neat because the other thing I really like in it too is whatever your player count is, you roll the 6 dice and you draft those 6 dice one by one. But everybody gets to do that. So no matter how many players you have, at the end of that round, everyone eventually will get to draft all 6 dice. Because with 2 players, it was 3 and 3, 3 and 3. But later on, it'll be like 2, 2, 2, and so on and so on. Which is really cool because even later, and it gets into uneven, like with 5 players, it won't be even, but in the end, it'll work out, which is really cool.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
But essentially your goal is to explore the city. You'll to try to cross as many bridges, the 7 bridges that if you can, visit some trees, visit some buildings to see as much of the city as you possibly can.
Yes, yeah. And you have to draw the shapes exactly how they're oriented, which I think is really neat because they've got a half path, which surprisingly is, well, not surprisingly,
it's very effective.
Very effective. So I really enjoyed this one.
There's bonuses in this game. The scoring in this game is super, super neat because there's like, it makes me very happy because one of them, for example, is you have to count all the buildings that your paths were adjacent to. And like those numbers can get in like the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
So like it's exciting to color those buildings in because you actually feel very accomplished when you finish this game.
Yeah, the one thing that I will say is that it is very tedious to go through scoring, but it's a fun game.
I love games where you can just get a lot of points that are short and you just feel so happy.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I accomplished a lot when I played 7 Bridges.
Well, there you go, 7 Bridges.
Let's talk about Copenhagen Roland Wright.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure this is the one where you're building waterfronts, right?
Yeah. Buildings.
So you're building buildings on the waterfront, and it's very cool because you essentially are just, you want to build on this side sheet, but in order to build on this side sheet, you really have to focus on what's going on your, I'll call them trains. I know they're not trains, but like they're different color lines, and then each time you pick that color, you cross it out, and based on that, you get to draw that certain shape, and you get to put circles and X's on your sheet, and then score for the rows and the columns.
Yeah, so every time you draw a shape, one of them has to be an X, and you'll get more if like your whole row or column has none of those X's.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little bit of Tetris style too, because you're trying to get the shapes together and match them. And some columns will get you bonuses, some won't, but you're essentially trying to fill everything up and outwit your other opponent.
Yes, and the shapes are limited too, so you have to basically use the shapes that are given to you.
Yeah.
They can be rotated, but still, it's.
I like this one. I really like spatial puzzles. It reminds me a little bit of like Second Chance and kind of filling those graphs, but it has an added like element of twist of trying to create those rows that can give you really a lot of bonus points for.
And I do like the abilities as well.
Yeah.
They're fun. Yeah. Cool. Copenhagen.
Copenhagen. Let's talk about Kokoro.
Kokoro, Avenue of the Cadona. I think I said that right. Yeah.
So in Kokoro, you are helping the Guardians of the Forest build paths and reconnect all the different shrines, I believe.
I think they're shrines.
Are they shrines?
Yes. Yeah.
Sanctuaries.
Sanctuaries.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So connecting all the different sanctuaries. And what's really, really neat about this game is your sanctuaries will be lettered. So it'll be like A, B, C, D, E, F. I think there's 6, but you only draw 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you will draw one by one. You'll draw sanctuaries and score that sanctuary for that round. So you never can really know what you're going to build for the next rounds, but you might get lucky if you're building near another one that you can kind of connect to everything. Because you're trying to connect it to the caterpillars and the flowers around.
Yeah, because the first one you draw actually, you don't have to connect it to any sanctuary. You just have to connect it to things. Items or flowers or worms, and then you score points based on that. It basically just, you have to score more points after
the more that you go.
Yeah, the more you go. So if you score 4 points one round, the next round you have to score more than 4 points. And if you don't, you take a big ol'
Zero.
zero.
Yeah. So that's really cool too, because the rulebook even recommends, like in the first games, try not to score a lot of points. Just try to build the groundwork to score more points later on, so you can kind of increase and do more and more.
And round end is really cool in this game because basically you just draw these cards that are shapes, and then if you draw 4 gold cards, I believe it is 6 gold cards. Okay, but it's really fun to draw and be like, gold card.
And then if you draw the last one, it's the last round.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's neat because you also, like, what I really liked in my first impression is the magic of connecting it all. Because in the end, if you play it right, you can connect everything, and then it just, the forest shines, and it's all very happy, and the guardians are very happy, and then you win.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Kokoro.
Yes. Welcome to Las Vegas. You've never been, have you?
No, I'm not. You have been to Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, this one
is very similar to Welcome to, but you're building a bunch of casinos in Las Vegas. And what trips me up about this game, and my first impression what really stuck with me, is that you get bonus points for incremental or consecutive evens or odds that you have in your lines. So
that's one way to score points. Yes.
Yes, that is one way. That's what stuck with me, like beyond in the comparison to Welcome to. So if you played Welcome to, you can just put any. You don't get points for the odds or the evens. But here, if you have like 4 or 5 odds in a row, so like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, or like even 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. They don't have to be consecutive in that way. You get points for that, and that, like, I was really focused on that. I won, but it was really tough. Like, I feel like it made my brain burn a little bit.
Yeah, I think this game is really cool because you basically, it's very, in my opinion, it's very different from Welcome to.
You think so?
Yeah, like there's no fences. There's like pools. There's kind of like the similar things as shows. No, golf courses are a completely new thing.
That's true.
You have like building cards that you have to decide whether or not you want to take out the construction so you can later build on it. There's like the mafia's involved kind of thing. It's pretty cool because you lose points for not being able to pay off your debts.
Yes.
I really like the limo and driving around like
you
the
have
VIPs.
to do the paths and get bonus points.
Yeah, I think I do like the original more, but I really like the original, so it's hard to compete with. This one's still a lot of fun. Yeah.
I think where it is really similar is it's still how the game is played as a flip, right? Is you have the 3 cards and they're numbers, and then the other side there's actions. So each turn you'll pick a number and the corresponding action and do that. Yeah. It is really fun because you end up there's a lot of really neat mechanics in this one that just make me happy.
The stocks, like the stock market and Welcome to, you just scratch off a certain number, but this one you really scratch off a yellow, like the top leftmost yellow, and it'll score you more points for the other actions that you were able to take. Yeah, different areas. So that's what makes it really exciting. But yeah, I think my favorite was definitely the limo. Trying to like go around town and trying to circle it back so you make it back in time, because if you don't, you'll lose some points. I was a big fan of the golf courses, but
golf courses are really fun too.
Yeah. Okay,
that's welcome to New Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, oopsies.
Yay. Imperial Settlers, Roland Wright.
Yay!
I really want to play Imperial Settlers now.
Yeah, I've never played Imperial Settlers.
No, so this is another one that we have not played. The original. I really enjoy this game. Basically, what you have is you have your settlement, and you're trying to build it up. So you're trying to build buildings to get yourself some more stone, wood, food, and unlock some bridges, and just keep almost like an engine going.
Yeah, I think that first impression of this game, it is a lot of fun, but I got very fixated on the fact that resources, they go to waste.
Yeah.
So like there's no storage that you can put them in. I mean it lends itself to like efficiently using your resources, but at times there was like nothing I could do with them.
Yeah.
So you
need, I think, the worker, and that's like the balance between the workers and the resources is really interesting, because every time you cross out a box, you actually have to use an action to do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes pay the resource, which makes it a little bit tough. But I really liked it because it was also cool how you can build shapes into your resource map to increase the efficiency of your buildings.
Yes.
That's more of like I think the advanced version, which we played right off the bat, but it was just really like exciting, and it was really interesting. And I like the balance of it too, like knowing, and even those, what are they called? The favor tokens. Even deciding like which favor token to take and which one will benefit you each of the rounds. It played fairly quick, but it left a really good impression on me just because like I felt very satisfied by the end of the game.
Yeah, I like the buildings. The buildings are really cool because they like lend itself to like getting these cool little strategies going, and it's fun.
And what's really amazing about this game is there's an adventure mode, which has almost a different set of buildings in every one of the sheets.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
you can play that multiplayer or you can play that solo to really experience the game differently every single time and try to adapt to strategies and win.
Yeah, that's fun.
Imperial settlers, Roland and Wright. Let's talk about floor plan. I love floor plan.
This one's really fun. You basically just get to make buildings.
I remember my first impression of this is outrageous.
Really?
Well, because I had a big kitchen that had like 18 windows and like barely
no
a door. Like it was like the floor plans you create in this game are so nonsensical.
That is true.
But that's what makes it really fun.
Yes.
I find like sometimes you'll make a bedroom that's literally tiny and all it is a bed and then the door goes into the bed. And I think the other thing that like won my heart over is all the characters in this game for the cards have pronouns on them. So this game has like so much representation, so much inclusivity, and I love that Deepwater Games did this.
Yeah, a huge fan of what they've done with, especially with the characters and yeah. But it's a really fun game. You basically just like build a house based on what you're rolling. You can use different combinations to build different rooms, to build different furniture.
Doors, windows,
yeah, like all sorts of things. It's really
shrubs,
really cool.
trees,
and there's like goals, so you have to try and finish them. And yeah, it's a really quick game with a lot of depth to it, in my opinion.
And a lot of laughs because no one's gonna want to live in these houses.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I want like the one of those TV people that renovate houses to just build one of these so that they can just see how bad these designs are, but how hilarious they are. But definitely would recommend Floor Plan if you haven't played it yet. Your chair is squeaky.
Squeaky, 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 squeaky. Let's talk about Escape.
So this is the only cooperative roll and write.
Correct us if we're wrong. But it's a cooperative gem.
Yeah.
It's a gem. It's a gem.
I get it.
It's basically like Indiana Jones. Like the theme of it is like Indiana Jones. You're going through these tunnels trying to collect
treasure,
gems, and all sorts of things, and you want to make sure you escape by the end of how many rounds?
The end of the round, yeah. So yeah, it's really interesting because the map that you're playing on is your own map and you can get the treasures from it. But the cooperative nature of it comes in is if your team members are standing on certain tiles that match like the color of the tile that you're matching, you can unlock it and kind of get the mega bonus.
Yeah.
So it's really neat in that cooperative manner because I don't think we've played like in my head I can't think of another cooperative roll and write. So this one's unique in that way, but it's also really fun too because the dice that you roll, if there's the idols that come up, they essentially become not usable. Yeah. So I think there's 9 dice I want to say to start.
Yeah.
There may be 9. There may be. We played a lot of these, so apologies if we missed.
I think it depends on how many players you have.
So like I think we've played with 9. So if we roll those 9 and like 3 of them are the idols, they go on the idol and then they can't be used for three additional turns.
Yeah, 3 turns.
Yeah. So and that makes it really tricky because, for example, if a bunch of people get idols on your turn, maybe you're only rolling 1 or 2 dice.
Yeah.
Unless there's some abilities to get those dice back.
Which there are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the other thing like that's cooperative about it that I don't think we really touched on is like when you roll these dice, you pick which ones you want.
Yes.
And then you also get to give the dice to your teammates.
So it is very strategic because everyone has to take at least 1, but you can take 2. Yeah. So you have to really strategy pick. If I take these 3, you'll have to take, and by the time will everyone get what they need in order to reach their goals.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because it's cooperative, you need to make sure you are unlocking all the possible bonuses so you can use them appropriately, and then also you need to make sure you can escape.
Yeah. And reach the intended goal amount, the gems that you need to do.
Yeah.
Which we beat the hard difficulty the first time.
Well,
we did,
but we weren't playing the hard difficulty.
Yeah, we were. Well, yeah, we were playing, but we would have been the hard difficulty if we did, because there's the number of gems is how much your difficulty, and we surpassed the number of gems we had to. So.
Escape.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about now?
Fleet the Dice Game.
Love Fleet the Dice Game.
Oh my goodness, this is like, it's one of the heavier Roland Wrights for sure, but it's so cool because like you're basically a I want to say dock owner, and you send ships out to catch fish for you, and you just score points based on different types of different species of fish that you catch, and you also have to decide which ones you want. So there's a little bit of drafting to this. There's definitely drafting to this, but you basically draft twice per round. Once to do boat actions and then another to do dock actions.
Yeah, it's really, my first impression of this game is these dice are beautiful and wow, there's a lot going on.
Yes, oh my goodness.
I think it's really neat because you're trying to set sail to a bunch of ships, and then based on when they set sail and the time, they'll obtain more or fish, which gets you points.
Yeah.
Then you have buildings that allow you to maybe have more ships on the dock side of it that can get fish as well, but as well as do various actions that kind of support your whole game. Yep. So there's so many opportunities to build different strategies that it's obviously very exciting.
Yes.
And there's a lot of opportunity for combinations as well, so you can kind of create opportunities. So many opportunities, all the opportunities.
They have these things on the sheets that are stars, and basically the stars let you scratch off some random, some other space, which is super cool because like Ilya said, is you can just like start comboing, and it just feels very good to play this game.
And I'm very excited. The successor, I think, to this game is the Three Sisters.
Three Sisters, yes.
So, and we're so excited to play that one because
is that one supposed to be heavier?
I think it's on the same. Okay. It's about similar, but we haven't played the print and play because we're just waiting for our copy to play it.
Patiently waiting.
But Fleet the Dice Game. Choice dice. Well, this one is cool. This one's cool because of the board track. You basically play 8 days. I think 7 or 8 days. But you're a member of Troy City, and you're just trying to basically establish yourself and build these pieces of the city that would make it better. Yeah. Essentially, there's like a rondelle in the middle, and you kind of go around it, and some of the dice kind of flip the area, so it changes the color and the actions of what you can take, which makes it really exciting. But each of the areas that you're building also has special actions. So some can protect your areas from future like attacks or so from the dice getting crossed off. But it's a really neat way to kind of combo create points, and it has a really good feel to it. This game makes me happy.
My first impression of the game, I will say, is I was very set. I think you were as well. Set on building fortresses.
Yeah, we protected our fall.
Yeah, which I think you just don't have to do.
No. Gotta take some risks.
Yeah,
I was not a risk taker then.
Yeah, so we did not take risks, and it made the game feel not as good. But then when we played it again, it was different. So.
Yeah, I think it's because both of us kind of did the same strategy. We basically did really similar things, so there wasn't a lot of variety. But then once we played it once, we saw that there's a lot of potential to go different ways. But
the game also goes pretty fast, so I think that's what it was. Is I had filled up all my fortresses, and I was like, wow, there's no time left. But that's not. Should have just waited. Well, that's Troy's dice.
Troy's dice. Rome and roll.
Wow.
So this is another I'd say it's really heavy.
It's heavy.
Right? Oh, yeah. But it's super neat because you get an asymmetrical character board that has different abilities, different advisors, and you're trying to do different things.
Yeah.
So you're rebuilding the city of Rome.
Yeah, basically there was it was the giant fire of Rome, and then we're basically trying to help rebuild it and build reputation so that the new emperor or king will pick us as his second hand.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's really cool because you get to draw buildings around which have different ways of scoring points. You can also go and explore and take over different other lands around near Rome. But overall, the dice are really chunky. There's a lot of actions on them. It makes you think quite a lot.
Yes.
And there's actually a new expansion that we had the opportunity to play with and feature in a playthrough. So you can check that out below.
Gladiators. And the Gladiator version just added like this, I'll say it's like a tic-tac, but it's a little bit more
It is tic-tac, yeah. It's like a strategic tic-tac-toe, essentially. That's how the gladiators fight. Yeah. But my first impression of this game was There's a lot. But the asymmetrical characters is what really sold me.
Yeah, I mean, they're not too much different, but they really like set you on a path to potentially like work towards a certain win condition.
Yeah. And that is a Roman rule.
Number 2. Last.
Trails of Tucana. What was your first impression with this, Tyler?
I have heard people raving about this game, and I was really, really, really excited to play this. And then we get to play it, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. And then I wasn't able to connect my paths. And I was getting so frustrated because I was just sitting there, I was like, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And there was no alternative for me, and I just got a little frustrated.
Yeah, you weren't the biggest fan of your first impression.
So I think overall, I will say that it's a decent game. But I think I need to play it a few more times. I just have salt in my mouth.
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to help the villagers visit different islands. And how the game is played is you'll draw 2 cards and then connect those 2 spaces on your board. Mm-hmm. And then later try to match up the different villages and the cities and hope to hit some of the idols and some of the items.
Yeah, I think there's like 10 circles and 10 or 12 circles.
There's 10, yeah.
Yeah, and each of them have like either matching pairs.
Yeah, so, but it's really like, I really like this game because it's very simple. Like you have to match these 2, you draw them in, and the strategy is you have to adapt and hope for the best and try to create opportunities to score points if you don't get the best. So I think the theme in Roland Wright is that you're sometimes not going to get what you want, and it's kind of working with what you have to make it fit. Mm-hmm. I think in our first game it was unfortunate because I think we drew the like sand and rock like 4 or 5 times in a row, and like the chances are super low. But even like to me, I'm like, what do I even do with this?
Yeah.
But it was still really fun.
Yeah, I think my expectation of the game is I'd be able to connect every single path and work towards that, but I don't necessarily know if there's enough time to do that, or you have to get really lucky. Yeah. So I think the reason I didn't enjoy it is because I went in thinking that I could do that, and then it ended up not being able to do it.
Yeah, and there's not really a way to like reflip cards or reshift things around, so maybe that's another way that game can improve. Yeah. But I really like it too because there's a shorter version or a longer version you can play, and the art is pretty. I like it. Toucans.
Yay, toucans. Well, last game that does not need explanation.
But it does.
This is a fantastic game, Hadrian's Wall. My first impression's amazing. Super crunchy though. Holy moly.
Yeah, I think my first impression is it took me a while to get through the rule book and to really grasp everything that can happen. Mm-hmm. Because essentially what you're trying to do is you're building up your wall and protecting it, but trying to build a lot of the influence tracks as well. Influence tracks? Yeah, they have different names. I think there's a piety track, a different.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
But you're also working on your like civilians and civilization and trying to build up a lot of that. But there's so many potentials for combinations and how things flow. And one of my favorite things in this game is that like in a lot of Roland Wrights, you circle things to use things, and that's typically how the Roland Wright works. But here you have the meeples and you have stone, which are those actions that you get to use and keep track of, because I feel like it'd be so difficult to circle and keep track of all the things that you're doing because sometimes there's so many. But this game has won my heart. I really hope that there's more from Garfield Games.
Well, we need to play the solo campaign.
We do need to get through all the solo campaign. Because there is.
Well, okay, what I will say is we're doing a giveaway for this game and Paladins, so if you are interested in potentially winning this game,
go over to
our my birthday video.
Birthday Bonanza board game giveaway video.
The link is down
Tyler's
below.
birthday.
Yeah.
But our first impression of Hadrian's Wall was
spot on.
Yeah, we played it like I think every day for like a week straight because we liked it so much.
Yeah. I would like walk upstairs to Ilya and be like,
Hadrian's Wall. And
that is it. Holy moly.
That is 51 games that we did our first impressions of. So thank you so much for watching. Comment down below if you played any of these games and you have any thoughts, or if we inevitably made some mistakes in explaining some of the games or mixed some of the rules up, because that's very possible that happens.
So many games.
But give us a thumbs up.
Subscribe, hit that bell notification so you can get notified when we make new videos. Also, if you're excited to play one of specifically these games, let us know, because we would love to tell you more about them.
And we try to be super, super thorough and try to play as many Roland Wrights as we can. But if we miss some, let us know, because maybe we'll come back to them eventually and cross-compare them to all of these and maybe have a part 3 sometime down the road.
Yeah, exactly. But what you can expect for the rest of this month
is
a top 10 video.
Top 10?
Top
A Kovray Awards
Kovray
video.
Awards.
We're going to look at things like best theme, best marker, those type of pieces, which you can actually suggest in one of the videos if you find.
Exactly.
And then another check it out.
Woohoo!
Well, thank you so much for following our month of Roland Wrights. We really appreciate you, and thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.